To another Talk2Rami podcast. It's an exciting day today because I'm sitting here with an amazing person. Elise Krentzel is here. She's an author, songwriter, and name it, phenomenal entrepreneur. And we're going to get into a lot of story talking about her, her involvement with the music and all that stuff, the Kiss band and all that stuff. But stay, tuned and let's get into it. Elise, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Rami.
You're welcome. I really loved your gift, by the way.
Thank you.
Guys, you should go and read this book. We're going to talk about it, Under My Skin, and it's her new book. And it's a lot of good things in it that we all can learn from it, from a drama to trauma and everything else that we're going to talk about that. But I'm going to finish this by the end of this month. I promise you.
It's a quick read.
Yeah. But tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in journalism?
Okay, well, it dates back a couple of decades, but while I was still a teenager, trying to escape from a very dysfunctional family,
wow,
I put my mind and heart into both music and writing. And one day, I guess I was 15, I had an aha moment because I had been going to concerts back in the day, like sneaking away from my house, going to rock concerts at night, hitchhiking back or coming back with a friend, sneaking back into my bedroom. And I said, oh, I want to be a rock journalist. I can combine my love of music with writing. So what I set out to do while still in high school was to go to these concerts every weekend, write reviews of the musical performance, and also, since I had a 3,000 album collection of vinyl.
Wow. You still have them?
No, I sold them all.
Oh.
I have maybe 100 LPs left, which I won't sell.
Oh my God.
So I did record reviews. And eventually it took 2 years, but I never gave up. I would send the reviews to all the magazines because this is back in the day pre-internet. The only way you could get in touch with a magazine was by sending a cover letter, typing out your review.
1970s, around
70s, yeah.
70s.
And my poetry teacher at school, who was my main source of inspiration, encouraged me to do this, and he taught me how to write a cover letter. I had no clue. There's a business way of writing a letter. He taught me. It took 2 years, and I finally got accepted by Circus Magazine. I was 17 years old.
You were pretty young.
Yeah, I was.
You were pretty young.
I'm still pretty young.
I know. Well, what a motivation. What made you to just keep going and keep grinding? And where did you get your drive?
So that's a question that that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What makes people, I won't even use the word successful. That's defined differently by everyone.
That's the results, yeah.
That's a result. The drive I was born with. I know I'm born with it because I didn't have to do anything for it. If I set my mind towards anything and believed in it enough, I just accomplished it.
Well, let me go back because you just mentioned you had a very dysfunctional family. And we're going to talk about the environment because I believe our environment is everything. Mm-hmm. And then you were like going through that environment at that age, like very young. And that's very important for audiences to know that it doesn't matter how old are you, but sometimes you face a lot of difficulties. It doesn't matter, you're 17, 20, 30, 40, 50. But when you have the drive, it's good. But how did you got out of that like a environment and how did you deal with that at the same time you were going forward with your goals and mission in life? It's a hard thing.
It is a hard thing, and everyone deals with whether it's PTSD or abuse in a different way, and it has to do also with personality, and then it has to do with values. So if I compared myself to my brother who was more introvert, he kept it all in. But so did I. I was an extrovert.
And you kept it inside.
I kept the emotions inside to a certain degree. I kept the pain inside.
Why?
Why? Because it didn't matter if I voiced it, which I did as an extrovert. I screamed and yelled. I confronted. I was into confrontation. I was.
But it didn't matter the people around you.
Correct.
It didn't matter to the people
result did not change that I confronted them, my parents, or step-parents. It didn't matter that I confronted them because they weren't listening.
And you cannot change people.
Correct. You don't know that when you're a teenager. And some people, they're in their 60s and don't know that.
Oh, I have seen it. Trust me. I have seen it.
Right? So I realized, okay, that's ridiculous. And I have to get out of here. My drive was to get out of the house. My drive was to live the life my way without these people. And I wanted to do it as soon as possible. And no one was going to stop me.
And what was the price of that?
I guess the price, that's an interesting question. In retrospect, the price was getting involved in a lot of dangerous situations.
Wow.
But surviving. Getting involved with adventures and discovering the world.
That was when you discover you decided to travel with the band and all that stuff. That was a transition that time?
Well, there was also something before that. When I was 16 years old, my father gave me a present for my birthday, which was to go to Europe for 9 weeks on a teenage tour with 10 other kids. We got on a plane at JFK Airport in New York City. We didn't know each other. And we met our tour leader in Amsterdam. This was 1973.
Wow.
Back in those days, people did that. He cut out an ad in the New York Times classified section, tour, European tour, 9 weeks, camping out. And 10 kids from all over the country met at JFK. There we were on the plane, meeting this stranger in Amsterdam, getting on a VW bus and traveling through 9 countries over 9 weeks.
Wow.
So that changed my life.
What an experience.
What a fabulous experience. It changed my life. It was absolutely, as they say, the words, life-changing.
What did you learn?
I learned that I didn't like American men. Sorry, guys. Number 1. Number 2, that they were sexist, misogynistic, couldn't be friends. All these European men that I met, boys, they were friendly. It wasn't about sexuality. I was a very pretty girl, but I had a brain, and this is the age of women's liberation.
Yeah, that I was actually thinking about that. You're right.
And I was a woman's liber. I was a feminist. So was my mom. And actually, so was my dad. So I couldn't stand being looked at for my body and for my looks. I wanted to be on equal terms with any guy and accepted for all of my talents.
Equality,
and having a body that looks good is not a talent, people. That is not a talent.
But some people, especially these days, they think it is.
Well, okay. I don't want
what
to
I'm
go
saying.
there. I don't want to be
you.
politically incorrect because I am.
I'm with you, you know.
That is not a talent.
I always say that if you're beautiful and you have a nice body and that doesn't mean that you are very intelligent or
that doesn't mean you have good values. Yes. That doesn't mean that you're a good person. That doesn't mean anything except that you look good.
And why people, you know that a lot of people judge us based on our appearance,
our looks, yes,
based on the looks and the perception. Why they do that?
Because of animal instinct, the amygdala part of your brain, the lower reptilian part of your brain. That's what I think.
That's how they see it.
Yeah, it's not thinking. It's just reacting from that lower chakra.
Did that trip actually open your eyes?
Yes. Changed
When you
my
came back, your life changed?
Totally. It changed while I was there. Number one, I realized I fit in here better. I felt completely at home, not in every country, but in most countries. I knew I wanted to eventually live in Europe at some point, which I did later in my life for 20 years.
What part?
I lived in Switzerland, France, Holland, and Sweden.
Nice countries.
I also realized, well, the food. Lucky for me, my father's parents were from Belarus, my mother's parents from Hungary. So I was second generation. We never had fast food. We never ate TV dinners and all that crapola that, in the 1960s was the norm for white American families. And we didn't. So I ate real food. And I discovered in Europe, oh, wow, there's real food everywhere.
Is it still like that? I just
Yes.
came back from Germany not long ago. It's not like a 70s, but they changed, they adapt a lot of American things too, but it's still, you see them, they eat very healthy, they small portion.
I'm sure I gained 20 years to my life by living in Europe for 20 years, just because of the food.
And of course the environment.
And the
But
lifestyle.
let's go back talking about, because you talk about, drama and trauma in your book,
And rock and roll.
and rock and roll. We're going to talk about, that first, and then we talk about the key span, because I know you got a lot of great stories. But I think, this is my opinion, that everybody should know him or herself, right? Self-awareness.
Yes.
If you don't know yourself, how are you going to deal with your drama or trauma? The reason that you said you got out of your situation, you knew what you want. You knew who you are or who you want to be.
Who I want to be.
Who you want to be. The problem, I don't know if you agree with it, but the problem right now is people don't know who they are. They don't know what they want. Self-awareness is the most important thing. Don't you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that. And I cannot say that I knew who I was. However, I'm a seeker. There are people in life who are seekers. And I've always been attracted to the truth. What does that mean? Well, because...
Even the truth was painful.
Yes.
Yes?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That said, when I was younger, I was highly defensive. I was protecting myself. I'm not really defensive anymore. That has changed.
Why? Because you hide everything inside? You didn't want to be vulnerable?
Correct.
Why you don't want to be vulnerable?
That was back then. Now I do.
I think the vulnerability is, a lot of people, I agree, a lot of people, they don't want to be vulnerable because they think it's a sign of weakness. I don't think so it is.
I've learned it is a sign of strength, but that is not why I became vulnerable. I think in the act of becoming aware that one's feelings are the truest they could be, if you feel it, it is true. That does not mean that you stick to it. You have to go through the feeling in order to come out the other side. In other words, if you're feeling jealous because a lover or a husband or a wife or a partner has cheated on you, you can hold the grudge for 10 years. That's going to eat your insides out. Or you could work through, why am I jealous? Most people blame others. That's the first thing. Point a finger, blame somebody else for your misery. What I like to do is ask myself, why did that happen to me? What did I do to bring that on? Because I obviously needed that experience to learn something. I don't look at life as failure, success. I don't use those terminologies. I think it's just hogwash. Life is just an experience to learn from. There is no such thing as a mistake. No. You learn. You learn or you don't learn. And if you don't learn, then keep repeating it.
But a lot of people, I experienced that myself, not myself too, because I got divorced, my first wife. And, she's still, I'm saying this publicly, hello, that she's still like after like so many years that we've been divorced, she's still holding on what happened, which is it wasn't that two different people, whatever. But she can't let it go. It's still even though she's married and all that stuff, but she can't let it go. And I always tell her, it's about you. You got it. Just forget it. Forget it and just is learn and then go. And
but you even said it earlier. You can't tell people.
I think
you cannot.
it's
Nobody
impossible.
can tell anybody. So I just know that over the course of my life, like if I look at my life, I say, wow, it took me a long time. It didn't come like that. So I wrote this line, and I wrote this, said, it takes a long time to be on time.
That's a great line. That's a great line. But you had that courage, which is most of the people unfortunately don't have, because they don't want to be a bit honest with themselves. They don't want to be vulnerable, or they don't know how to be vulnerable. Therefore, they're stuck in that drama situation environment.
There was another element which gave me the drive. Definitely ego. I'll tell you why. If I didn't like someone, if I didn't like a client or a boss, I never really worked for anyone in my life. I've had my own ventures. But if I didn't like someone, that was it. Done. Where now I advise younger people, I say, have the courage. Oh no, we have to save for a house. We have to save our 401k. We have to put away. Oh no, I'd rather suffer in this and then maybe later. I don't believe in that. I say get out immediately and as quick as possible and find your bliss. Find what you love to do and keep searching. You may not find it for 10 years, but don't put up with anyone or anything that is going to make you unhappy when you get home and you're miserable.
And why you think people do that? I have seen it, you have seen it, people they put up with so many stuff that they don't need to.
Right.
Why they do that?
That's
where it comes from.
I'm not a psychologist, but Rami, it has to do with self-esteem.
I agree with you.
Low self-esteem.
And they're believing themselves, because I always, tell the young entrepreneurs that you got to believe yourself.
Or they believe in society. And listen, if you're going to make it, if you want to make your life into the life that you imagine it to be, then you have to follow you.
You got to be you. I always tell everybody, you got to be you. And a lot of people that, they're trying to pretend somebody else, and they do that because they want to change the perception of other people, but they're going to judge you no matter what.
Anyway, who cares is my thing. Like, I did care when I was younger, and I say that I cared, but not enough to change. So I cared about because it made me feel really bad. I had a lot of stuff thrown at me. But I didn't care enough to change me. So emotionally, I was fragile, but not fragile enough where I broke.
What point in your life, I know we can go back, you told yourself, enough is enough. I'm done, and I wanted that. How did you do? When did you get to that point? Like you said, that's it. I'm done.
Everyone has a different tolerance level, don't we?
Yeah, you got it.
Yet, I guess I turned my ego towards the work I wanted to accomplish. So, rather than being a big egoist in terms of my relationships, intimate relationships or friends, where I found myself to be almost a pushover, like the opposite. The internal and the external were like two different people almost. Externally, I wanted to accomplish, to become a journalist. I did. I then wanted to start my first business in Japan, which was the first foreign-owned talent and booking agency, where I brought over major rock stars from the United States and England. I wanted to do that because I saw the need. I did it. My third venture was in Europe. I saw the need, pre-internet, for travel guides on CD-ROM. So I worked with a programmer and a team of people. I had the vision. And what we did, we had GPS on CD-ROM.
Wow.
With a per-click rate. Everything was on CD-ROM 3 years prior to the internet.
Wow.
I did it. And there's more companies or ventures or projects. Whatever I envision, I did it.
How did you get involved with the band Kiss?
Well, basically what happened was this. So I was this budding, struggling journalist who was still in high school, and then I went to college, and then I took a full-time job. So going to school at night, full-time job, writing stories on the weekend, and submitting them. How am I doing this? How am I going to get my name known? I better not do what I'm doing. That's not going to happen. This will take 10 years. So I decided what I need to do is take a different approach. I'll become the New York correspondent for British and Canadian magazines, because nobody wants to take that. That's not prestigious enough. Well, goody. I got 3 gigs.
Wow.
And started getting into every single concert, all the swag, all the parties, writing reviews. And my work was published every week in 3 different newspapers. So I got a call from the manager of Kiss, the PR manager, who said, "We are going to Canada after Japan. We want you as part of the 10-person press junket." And I was so arrogant. I said, "No, I don't like the band." Click. And a couple of weeks later, they called me back. And they said, "Yes, you're going to love it." I said, "I will only go if I can write what I want to write." And they said, "Okay, you can write what you want to write." They were so confident that I was not going to write a bad review. And I didn't. And that's what happened. So I went on the Kiss tour.
How was it? How was the experience?
Oh my God. Can you imagine a 19-year-old?
Oh my God, that's what...
I can't speak for anybody else on the tour, but the eldest person was 40. I was the youngest at 19. Most of these were pretty seasoned journalists like LA Times, Playboy Magazine, New York Times, big journals. And here I was from this Canadian newspaper. For me, it was an adventure of a lifetime.
I can imagine.
I don't even have words for it, except that if you read my book, the article that I wrote for the Canadian Record Week is in there. It's reprinted. You know, being in Japan, not just with Kiss, this foreign country, 5,000 screaming Kiss fans, these girls dressed like Peter Criss, like cats, the concerts, the people in the music business, the Japanese people, the food, I couldn't read signage anywhere.
What an experience. The visibility and everything that at your age and hang around with those people, as you said, big, this publishing and, this journalist is. And have you ever thought that time that, okay, maybe I'm in what I'm doing here. Maybe I'm doing something, because that sometimes the fear takes over.
No, I didn't think that at all. What I did think was several of the male journalists on the tour were a bunch of idiots. Because they were jealous of me. And one even wrote something very nasty about me in a newspaper that wasn't even true. Read about it in the book. Spoiler alert. Yeah, and I got him back.
I think that, I'm proud of you. You have a very high self-confidence. Like, you know what you want. You know where you're going. And I'm sure, today you're the same person. And, you're very successful and doing all that stuff. But we have a lot of people out there that they're listening, they're watching. they really want to do the things they want to do, but they're hold themselves back.
Yeah.
What they should do.
Oh,
Like the first is the basic thing. Keep it simple.
Okay, so.
You've been there.
Yeah, I have. One, you have to devote the time to it. Stop talking, and start doing. That's number one. I'm a writer, and I ghostwrite. That means I help other people write. I also coach people on how to write. And I write my own books. How do you do it? People ask. You just do it. You write. You don't wait. You don't, yes, you can think about it. Just do it. I'm not promoting Nike here, okay? And so that's number one.
I love that tagline, yeah.
Really, you need to stop thinking so much. Get your hands dirty. Number two, if you don't have self-confidence about it and you doubt yourself, then I think you shouldn't be doing what you're dreaming of doing. You're fooling yourself. Because if you really want something in life, nothing should stop you. Nothing. Don't be distracted. Get off your phone. Get off your social media. Don't watch TV. Just do what you want to do. And I'm not saying don't have a work-life balance. I have a great work-life balance. I do not work like I used to in my 30s. I'm not working 14 hours a day. I refuse to do it. I will work 9 hours a day, tops, and some days less, because I'm more productive in the shorter amount of time. It's not about the amount of time. It's what you do in the time. When you're concentrated, you don't need a lot of time because you're in what they call the flow. If you're in the flow, it's just going to happen, and you will love doing what you're doing.
People, they don't get to that flow. I think, I have that habit sometimes, overanalyzing the thing. If that happens, what I'm going to do, or if how about this, how about that? You overanalyzing, overthinking, and then instead of doing it, you just overthinking it.
Right, and look, every one of us is wired differently. I am more of an emotional person than a thinker. But I have trained my brain to now be more of a thinker than an emoter, which is good because that's a balance. So if you're more of a thinker, then I encourage you to be more of a feeler. In other words, if you're constantly overanalyzing, what does it mean? It means projecting. And what does projecting mean? It means you're either living in the future or you're living in the past. You're not living in the here and now.
Your past is past, future is not here.
So project all you want. What if this? What if that? Who the heck knows? You could be run over by a truck tomorrow.
You're absolutely right.
Just be in the present moment. And so when you're not overthinking. You're like, okay, I love furniture making. I'd love to be a carpenter. Okay, so go out and build it. Go buy some wood in that moment. Just start doing it.
You're absolutely right. I think that most of the problems that we have as a human is not the resources. It is the resourcefulness. We have a lot of resources out there. Like, look at it right now with 70s. You just told me the 70s. There is no pre-internet. You made it happen. And now we have all this too, and we have all the excuses. We're not doing it, and we expect the results. And why we not there? Because what? Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
We're procrastinating. We're making excuses. We're making excuses.
We all do. Sometimes I do it too. But I think another issue is people, they don't raise their standards. As I listen to you, I get this, that you have a very high standards.
What is
for
that?
Yourself.
What could you define that, Rami?
Because you know where you're going, and you say, I deserve to be there. You have that standard, because nothing gonna happen until you raise your standards.
I don't think that's high standard for me.
Because
I don't.
you got used to it. Because it became you.
I don't want to put high, low It's just my standard.
It's part of your character now.
And the fact is, yes, I deserve whatever I want. I deserve it because
you believe in
I
it.
will work for it. I'm not just expecting it to come to me. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm not some woman looking for a sugar daddy who's going to give me something.
But if you don't think that you deserve it, you're not going to go for it. A lot of people, they think, I don't deserve that. Yes, you do, but you got to move.
Well, if they don't believe that they deserve it, again, that's the psychology, that's the past, they need to speak to a therapist. Really. I've spoken to many of them in my life until I fired them.
Was it helpful?
Yes.
Really?
At the time, sure. Did I continue? No, because I didn't need it anymore. But then I needed something else. I went for that. I did all that self-help.
And it worked, like some levels.
Eventually, I just threw it all. I said, enough with this, because it's all in my head. But it did penetrate. It did make a dent.
I think this all motivational things out there, all the books, everything that we read, I love it and everything. Those are the tools. As you said, they can make a dent. But you are the one that you have to move.
Okay, so here, this is probably a different attitude. Before there was a slow food movement, you know the slow food movement. Yes. I would have to say that I'm a slow thinker. So I am into the slow thinking movement. Is there a movement like that? I don't know.
I haven't heard.
I'm making it up right now. I'm a slow thinking movement.
How you define that?
Because for most of my life, I was so quick that I missed the mark. I was too early for things. When you're an early adopter, and I was too quick. Now I feel this way. Since time is an illusion anyway, the slower the better. It doesn't matter if my goal is going to take me, I don't care if it's going to take me my next goal, the next 5 years or 10 years. I don't care about that. I don't put a deadline, I have to achieve that in 3 years. No, I don't. Who said that? I will just take my time and get there when I get there.
But you lose a sense of urgency, yeah? How are you going to just...
No, it's not. The urgency doesn't have to do with time. It has to do with waking up each day and loving what I do. And if I love what I do...
And then you will get there.
Then I will get there because I'm doing it. I'm being it. I'm living it. The only sense of urgency is sometimes I'm impatient. That's my Achilles heel. So yeah, that's true. Sometimes I'm impatient because I want to do what I love and it's not happening so quickly. And so
you don't have any timeline whatsoever?
No.
Really?
Really.
That's very impressive. And you're still doing good and you're doing great.
Because it's also, and this could be a little bit of woo-woo kind of thinking, I just believe. I have faith that it will all work out. I truly believe that. And I wake up every day grateful, go to sleep every night. I do meditation. I plan my day in my head before I go to bed. I set forth, this is what I want to do tomorrow, what I want to accomplish, and what I want to feel. Because we're not just all heads, right? We're complete human beings.
You visualize it, basically.
Yes.
I'm a big believer of the power of visualization. Anything that you imagine will happen as long as you work at it.
Right.
And you believe it, as you said.
Anything you imagine will happen if you are consistent in imagining it.
basically the power of universe.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes, totally. 100%. You're tapping into source material.
A lot of people are talking about that. They said, believe it, then you can see it.
I'm not a religionist, okay? I'm not.
Not see it or believe it,
But people of faith, whether I agree with them or not about their faith, is not the issue here. People of faith believe in it. You can't talk them out of it. There's no proof. They make up stories about proof, but it's not proof. Not scientific anyway. So, but if they believe it, then it's true. And that's for all of us. Whatever you believe, that is your belief. So it must be true for you.
And it will happen.
It will happen. If you believe you're not worthy,
you're not going to be worthy.
If you believe that you don't deserve something, then you're not going to get it.
That's why I told you when we raise our standards and we say, I deserve to be happy. And you said it too. Why I have to be in the bad relationship? I deserve better. Let's cut it out.
Yeah.
Let's go. Because you never know when you're going to die.
Right.
And why have to be miserable?
And why die while you're alive?
I like that. Because some people I know, they are dead. They are alive, but they are dead, actually. I can see it.
I can see that too. I can see that too.
But they don't see it themselves.
That's all right. They don't have to.
Because I think that mindset is not there. Because whatever you're saying right now, it comes back to our mindset.
Yeah.
And how you train that, God knows. How you train your mind to be that good.
Well, I'm continually training it. That is a lifelong process.
How you do that?
By never stopping to learn.
New things or in general?
New things, new concepts, new attitudes. I won't close my mind off. I won't say, oh, I know that, or, oh, I've been doing that for years, it's tradition, or, oh, yeah, I know all about that. I don't. The more that I know, the less I know.
That continuous education and learning.
It's curiosity.
Yeah, you have to be curious, yeah.
You have to be curious. It's an artistic approach to the world because, listen, we live in a world where there's flowers. That's amazing. How could we live? Just imagine there would be no flowers in this world. Look at the beauty of all the flowers in this world. So for me, I think life is beautiful. Despite my own upbringing, despite anything I went through, despite all the hurt, the disappointment, the evil, I think life is beautiful.
But your transition, I go through it. I say you had trauma with the family and the parents and everything else.
And not just
yeah, with everything else, with the men's in your life, whatever would happen, and then that your dramatic change comes from that negative environment now to the positive, uplifting. That's the big change.
It was always in me. It was just suppressed. It was always there. This didn't just come from nowhere. This is me. This is the true me.
That's why you wrote the book.
Yes.
And you explained what was under your skin?
Correct. I'm on book 2 right now. It's going to take a while to finish, but I'm halfway through it.
What is that? Is continuous of this?
Yeah, I'm doing a trilogy of my memoir.
Oh, okay. That must be very interesting. I look forward to read that.
Thank you.
What is in the future for you?
So in the future for me, I'm going to do a biography of a very renowned bunch of people.
Wow.
That's one. The second, I will be ghostwriting a book which is a epic family 3-generational tale of a South African
Wow.
biracial person who had to emigrate because of apartheid. A very amazing story.
Ghostwriting, I think, is a hard thing to do because you got to actually put yourself in the person's shoe. Like, you really have to take yourself back to those days, or whatever concept is, a story is. You really have to understand, because I was thinking that, I served in the Iran-Iraq war for 3 years, and PTSD, name it, I got all that stuff, and I was thinking to write my book and get a ghostwriter. And I find some, and it was very hard for her because this stuff that I, bring in as a visual things and everything is what happened. It's very difficult.
The reason why I'm so good at it is because one of my great talents is bringing out the talent in others.
I agree with you. It's a really hard thing. You have to really extract that. Like, she couldn't extract out of me.
Which I can do. Plus, I've lived all over the world. Plus, I have a soft spot for anyone who has gone through any type of hard time. So automatically, I feel for that. So the stories that I'm working with have to do with overcoming hardship, all types of hardship. And furthermore, it gives me great pleasure when I can show the other person, this is how great you are. You didn't see that, but I see it.
Do you think that every person deserves to be happy?
I believe that every person deserves to be what they think they deserve to be.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But I say that we all deserve to be happy if we want to be happy, because we are the worst enemy of
Right,
ourselves.
but Rami, that indicates they deserve to be like, who's going to give it to them?
Nobody.
That's why I said they deserve to be whatever they think they deserve. If they don't think they deserve to be happy, then they don't.
It all goes back, as we discussed, the belief.
Yes.
The belief, yeah.
So, are all people created equal? It's the same kind of question. No, I don't think we are. I think all people are created different.
You're talking about the old eras, like the old generation, like my father, my grandfather. It's just changed. We're not the same people, and I don't think so. My kids or my grandkids, they're going to be the same as now you and I were going to talk.
We are all the same because we're the human race. I don't believe in race. That's a man-made construct. We're one race, the human race.
I believe that.
And we're all different. We're all different. That's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah, we all
And
human
unique.
race with different language, different background, different
culture. Right.
That's why you kind of adapt in Europe with that culture, because of your mentality.
And Japan.
And Japan, because Japan is 70s, that was tough.
It was, but I liked it.
Because now they're very westernized.
Well, that's true. They were getting to be westernized, but that didn't matter. Didn't matter.
I'd like to talk to you. We have a lot to talk, but a lot of people, they go through a harsh time right now. Trauma, bad relationship, name it, a lot of stuff they're going right now.
Financial.
And they think that their case is the only one. What do you advise that, okay, stop. What is your advice that stop? A lot of people out there is worse than you. What they should do to analyze that and say, I can get out of it. It doesn't matter what they go through, because you've been there.
Yeah, I went there and I got out of it. So it depends what it is. Okay, here's one thing. I would really suggest that everybody analyze exactly what they need. If you're experiencing during this recession, post-pandemic, and it's still there hardship financially, downsize. Stop holding on to things. They don't matter. I was in debt twice in my life. Really bad, huge debt. I'm out of it. I did it myself. It took time. So what? It's life. It's a wave. It goes up and down. If you're smart, maybe you invest. I wasn't that smart. What can I say? Smarter in other things. Downsize. Look at what you really need.
And get out of the situation.
Get out as soon as you can.
You don't need to be in there. You don't.
Exactly. Oh, but if I sell my house, I won't make as much money as when I bought it, and it will be more expensive to buy another one. Great. Rent. There's always a solution.
Yeah. Why you have to, pay it?
A mortgage. You don't even own it unless you own it.
Or I have seen people, they have like a BMW, $700 a month of things they can't even afford. Go get a Honda.
Get anything you want. Do you think I care if people think less of me because I drive a Toyota Corolla? Let me tell you, I'm going to drive it until it falls apart. 200,000 miles. I'm not selling it.
The Warren Buffett said a very good thing, that he still goes to the same barbershop.
Let me tell you, I have a beautiful haircut. I go to Great Clips, $19. The point being, there's a Dutch word, nuchtig, frugal. I'm frugal.
You're content.
Yes.
You have to
and
be
I
content.
don't live beyond my means.
And you are grateful.
Absolutely grateful.
I think the biggest problem...
Number one, food. We are living in a country where there's no war. Yes, there's... You know this. My grandparents know this. They all escaped the Holocaust. So yes, there's strife and there's division in America and there's hatred. We're a very angry country, angry and hateful country, because we don't know our past. We don't look at our past. But politics aside, there's no war here. And the poorest of the poor still have more than what you see in other countries. And I've been through Appalachia. I've been through really poor districts in Louisiana and down south and Georgia, and I've seen. And still, there's food on the table. So please, get a grip and understand what you have. And appreciate it.
Amen. God bless you, because I always say that most of us, we are not grateful for what we have.
No. Spoiled little children.
I remember 1979 revolution that happened in Iran. I was standing in the line. I was in the middle school for one piece of block of cheese and 2 breads. I was in the line for 2 hours. And my mom said, go, make sure don't forget. We have seen that, but every day you wake up, you got to be grateful for just being above the ground.
Exactly.
That's so important that we don't see it. We worry about this stuff like, can I have this? I don't have this. Rather than say, thank you, I can breathe, I can walk, I don't have a headache, and I can go to work.
Exactly.
That's the biggest problem of this nation.
Yes, I
agree.
agree.
That we are not grateful. And that's just a young age, older age, but it's getting worse.
Spoiled.
It's getting worse. But, this is my last question for you. I always ask, do you have any regrets? Come on, give it to me. You got to have something, Elise.
Yes. Okay. One. All right. If you insist. Okay. I have one little regret, which is that there was a man.
Oh my God. He's got to get interesting.
Before I was leaving Japan, I lived there for 5 years. I had been married for 9 months. I say just enough to give birth to a divorce. But then I stayed. And then I was dating several men, and one of them asked me to get married. But I was too heartbroken over that first relationship. I wasn't ready to be with him. So that could be a little regret, because he was a wonderful man.
What was his name?
Yujiro.
And is he still alive? Do you still know?
I don't know. I can't reach him. I don't know where he is. I looked on the internet. I looked everywhere. Can't find him.
Hey, Eugeo, if you listen to this, you see it.
He's in Okinawa. That was the last that I...
You never know. You never know. Talk2Rami show gets everywhere. No, I'm just joking.
No, I don't go back. I don't go to the past. I wouldn't, no. So maybe that.
That's that. I think we all have regrets. I do have, I do have a lot of regrets. But the things is that, as you said, we just need to keep going forward, look forward, keep your head up, and just keep grinding. And
yeah, but I also, I say that I have a regret, but on the other hand, who knows what would have happened if I would have been with him? Then I wasn't in the mind. It probably wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah, universe works in mysterious ways.
It does.
I know that, but if the audience, they want to reach out to you, maybe they need you for ghostwriting, because a lot of people right now is writing the books, and some people, how they can reach out to you? Through the LinkedIn or? Through
LinkedIn at Elise Krentzel, ELISE KRENTZEL, or on LinkedIn at EK Public Relations, or on Instagram, Elise Krentzel, or on Facebook at Officially Elise. That's the way to get me on Facebook. Or email, right to Elise at elisekrenzel.com, or look on Amazon for the book Under My Skin.
And we will put your information and the content as well. But, I'm so happy you made time for me, and you're here.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. Look forward for next talk about the new book and everything else. And I promise you, I will finish this book. Everybody should buy, read this book. It's amazing. Get under my skin is a great book. But thank you for being here.
Rami.
I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.